From an undisclosed location high in the Hollywood Hills, it's time once again for the long shot. Come hell or high water. Tonight's episode, which Thanksgiving is which Thanksgiving? And now, please welcome the host of the long shot, Sean Conroy. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good noon, good day, good dawn, good desk, good dusk, good night. Welcome to the Long Shot. It is a podcast, of course, not the only Long Shot podcast, but the original Long Shot podcast.
There's like 5 of them now.
Are there really?
Maybe more. I don't know.
The only one I'm aware of is the NBA one, the basketball one.
No, there's one that somebody pointed out that's about like the COVID vaccine.
Really?
I believe. Anyway.
That's funny. I want to listen to that. I'm your host. My name is Sean Conroy. With me today on the podcast, the light at the end of the rainbow, Amber Kenny is here.
Hello.
The prize in the Ritz cracker box. And I think Joe is not going to make it, right? Is that true?
I haven't heard anything from him.
And Jamie is not going to make it. So it's just going to be us. Alex texted me to say that was okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So that made me feel good. First of all, I just want to start with an apology about something that happened last week that really bothered me.
Oh.
Which was, I was talking about all that stuff that took place in South Carolina. And I mentioned the author, Pat Conroy, in the context of having written a book called Prince of Tides, which was made into a movie. And what I said was the movie starred Barbara Streisand and Robert Redford. And of course, Robert Redford was not in the movie The Prince of Tides. It was Nick Nolte. I got my Noltes confused with my Redfords.
She did do a movie with Robert Redford.
She did a movie called The Way We Were in the early 70s.
I feel like that's a forgivable.
It's a very famous, very romantic movie. I never saw it. I know that ostensibly she had a huge crush on Robert Redford and transmuted that into her performance.
Some real chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
How could you possibly have a crush on Robert Redford, the dreamiest man alive?
And of course, we know that Redford did The Way We Were with Barbara Streisand. Nolte did The Prince of Tides, Barbara Streisand. Nolte did a movie with Redford called A Walk in the Woods. So it's easy to It's easy to mix those things up. Anyway, I'm making a mashup of Nolte, Redford, and Streisand. It's called The Way We Were on Our Walk in the Woods.
In Madison County.
Yes, Clint Eastwood is in it with Meryl Streep. And then we're going to throw a little Glenn Close in there from
Fatal Attraction.
Yes, and Michael Douglas.
Yeah, well, I think you should. I'm glad that you apologized because I'm sure people were outraged. I'm sure it was angering.
I don't care what people think. I care what I think. And I was outraged. No, it was just one of those things where I played it on I was checking to see if it was working right on the YouTubes. And so I hit it. And it was right at that moment where I said that. And I was like, that's not right.
I'm sure we say a lot other things.
I know. Oh, absolutely. Like, thank God. I don't listen to more than that because there's many, many facts gotten wrong, especially on a thing like last week where I was talking a lot of factually based stuff, and so quite certain I got a lot of that stuff wrong. But anyway, so I'm sorry that I upset all the Prince of Tides fans out there and the Redford fans and the Streisand fans and the Nick Nolte fans. I apologize. And I think there's a Venn diagram where a lot of those people are the same people. Mm-hmm. But there's probably people who are like, I love Nick Nolte, but I hated Prince of Tides,
Fun fact, my dad hates Barbra Streisand. And I'm not exactly sure why. But
no reason. He just
finds her irritating. I don't, how like there's just some people that that get under your skin, or you just can't
yes, I do.
But it's random that it's Barbra Streisand for my dad.
That makes me want to send him like a DVD or something, like here's a highlight reel of all the great Barbra Streisand performances, just because I want to investigate why, what's the root cause. Yeah.
Well, she has major like theater kid energy. Mm-hmm. And I can see like she's performing. I don't know if it's that, right. But she's very good at it. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
She's like, this is the way we were. I'm Yanto. Like she's always, it's always about
she's got a presence.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a particular type of performer, and I could see how that would rub. It's not natural. It's not like she's a real person, you don't walk away from it going, she really inhabited that role. Mm-hmm. You walk away from it going, boy, she dazzled me,
Yeah.
Almost like a musical theater thing.
Very similar.
which is my specialty. Mm-hmm. I'm a big musical theater dazzler.
Are you pumped for Dear Evan Hansen?
I've heard such terrible. I never saw the play, and I've heard such terrible things about the movie.
Same.
That I feel like I kind of want to wait till it comes around. So you can stage.
See the play in a more pure form.
Yeah, because I know people loved it, and I do think. I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I don't have any conclusions or knowledge about any of this stuff, but like, obviously doing a musical, there's something about it that it's about being in the room where people are doing the singing and the dancing,
Totally. I think there have been some successful film adaptations of musicals, but they're sort of the exception, not the rule. Like Chicago, I thought was great.
I never saw Chicago.
They did it. It was set up in a way that they explained it. And so all of the musical numbers were shot differently with different lighting. So it was like, this is them going into their head, or this is their fantasy. And then when it came back to like, an acting scene, a pure acting scene, it was sort of like muted colors, gray tones. And so
anyway, Bob, like just very normal voices like that.
Yeah. But so
sorry,
I was
just thinking about Cellophane for a minute. I'm back. I was just thinking about
exactly like that. So yeah, I think it's successful when there's sort of an inherent logic just to the film itself. Like it doesn't have to be consistent in every movie, but like, this is when we are singing, this is when we aren't, this is who can hear it, this is who can't. Just like,
yeah.
I think when it's not consistent, that's when it's really hard to swallow.
Yeah. Like you're right. Like what's the internal logic? Whereas it feels like that's not, I mean, certainly that there's some of that in a live performance, but it's not as difficult to pull off.
Well, you've already suspended your disbelief a certain amount. Like you're looking at a stage.
Right.
So it's easier to also like, sure, they're singing, but in a movie, you're close up to their faces. You really see them. You really see the set. So you gotta sell me on why they're singing and dancing right now.
Right.
Like, is this does everyone sing and dance in this universe, or is it this specific person? Like, what's happening?
Right. And in a play, you're like, of course he's singing. He's a phantom, but he's the Phantom of the fucking Opera.
And he's got moves.
Right in the name. Of course he's going to sing.
Oh no, I'm blanking on the name. The one that came out this summer. The Lin-Manuel Miranda.
No, In the Heights?
In the Heights, yes.
No, I didn't see it. And I still haven't seen Aristotle, or what's the...
Hamilton. I haven't seen the film version of Hamilton. I saw it
live.
It's not really a big deal. I don't want to talk about it.
I have not seen it live, nor have I seen the film, but I would like to. I do think it does make me, like, I'm sure I would love it, but it also just makes me laugh in prospect, because it is like, sorry, I'm distracted. But it does make me laugh that, like, when that was at its peak in the zeitgeist, I just thought it was funny to say everything in a rap, like, I'm gonna walk out now, like, it's just like everything. It just, I don't know. I'm not.
Well, Jeff never fully listened to the cast recording, like truly his choice to listen to it, and he never watched it, but he absorbed enough through osmosis and like how often I was listening to it. So his impressions of the play make me pee my pants laughing, because it's like he is right, but so wrong at the same time, where it's like he's got the exact right intonation, but like not talking about the right thing. I don't know. You had to be there. I shouldn't have said that.
But I feel like we're kind of saying the same thing. Like it makes me laugh in a way that I can't quite articulate, because I'm missing the heart of it, and I'm just going off the cadence and the like. This is how we talk to each other all the time.
There's a part where they are talking about how many papers and pamphlets he wrote in a specific amount of time, and it's a very impressive amount. But Jeff's impression of it is like 57 things.
Which is also playing into the idea of musical theater in general, which is always funny too. And I'm sure I mentioned this before, but one of the things that I really am still kind of bummed out about in terms of this whole COVID shutdown is that literally right when this happened, I was about to audition for a musical Harold team at the UCB theater. Like did you mention that before? I always think I've already talked about everything, but maybe I never talked about that.
Or maybe I just don't listen to you.
Well, thanks a lot. But yeah, I was, I had just, after, I don't know what, 20 something years, I had gone back and taken an improv class in musical improv, and I was about to audition for a musical team because, as we have discussed ad nauseum and ad infinitum on this show, I loved musical theater all through high school and college. That was like the thing I did. I've always enjoyed it, although I refused to give Les Mis a standing ovation when I went to see that, even though everybody else in the theater was standing. I was like, nope,
not
no,
good
thanks.
enough.
Nope. Nope. Okay, it was fine.
You showed them.
But so when I did Chicago City Limits, we used to do improvised musicals, and I loved it. But it was like, first of all, we had a shitty piano player at the time. Like the main company was accompanied by somebody who really like led and followed the people improvising songs, like supported whatever moves they made. I shouldn't say we had a shitty piano player. We had a guy who who was not capable of doing that. You know,
yeah, that's a hard skill.
It's incredibly skillful. Yes. Yeah. And so, and none of us had the talent to just get out there and sing, you know. It was always about the piano player making us look good, and we didn't have a guy who was capable of doing that. So I really loved doing it, but I just didn't get to do it enough, you know.
The piano player went home every show and was like, I wish I worked with improvisers that could make me look good. Like he was doing the same thing.
Well, no, what he was doing was going, I should be on stage, not them. And eventually he was. So that all worked out, you know. After everybody else left, they put him in the show.
But it sounds like what you're saying, to recap, because I am listening.
Is this about the Nolte thing?
Is that you love musical theater and you love improv. And this feels like a
confluence of two interests. And I was very excited to audition for this Herald team in hopes that I would get to do musicals on a regular basis. And it was an interesting thing because I kind of went back and forth on it. But then I was like, and this is a good thing to sort of remember about all of that stuff. I was like, this is the thing that makes me the happiest. So why would I not try to do this thing? You know, this other aspect of this thing that I enjoy so much. So anyway, it was literally like, I think whatever the day everything shut down was, it was like the Ides of March or something. And I was literally had an audition like the next day or something.
Oh my God.
And who knows if that's ever going to happen again, you know?
Well, because even if the theater fully opens, I'm sure the musical Herald team isn't the top priority.
No, and I also think there's lots of, I don't want to get into it, but yes, there's lots of things that can change over the course of all that time.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah, it's a long time. We always start with a segment on the show that we like to call checking in. It's like the way you check into a hotel. We, at the beginning of the show, we go, hey, what's going on with you? The way you would to somebody when they were checking into a hotel. Like, do they ever, I guess they don't really say that at a hotel. They don't go like, what's going on with you?
No.
They go like, do you want a king or a queen? We have a double queen or a triple king, or
that's a lot of kings.
Well, it's for the
Huge
three
room.
kings. It's for the three kings of Orient are.
Basketball court.
Yeah. They're following the star, following yonder star, to see the baby Jesus. So let's find out what's going on. Amber, what's going on with you?
Yeah, sure. So yesterday was the fall equinox, as I'm sure you're aware.
I smell witchcraft.
And probably 3 weeks ago, Abby sent me a message saying like, hey, do you want to come over for Witch Thanksgiving on the fall equinox? It'll be really witchy. It'll be great.
Are you saying Canadian Thanksgiving or American Thanksgiving? No, Witch Thanksgiving. Yeah, that's what I'm asking you.
Right. Well, that's what made me like, I'm obsessed with how witchy she's become. Like, she's become almost a parody of someone who's witchy, but I'm obsessed. I love it so much because last week I followed up with her and I was like, what was the date of that dinner again? And she responded, the equinox. And I was like, okay, bitch, we're not even using the calendar anymore. Right. Okay, great. Like, we are witchy.
Oh, let me just check my Earth calendar. Yeah. Let me see where the planets are. Hold on. Let me get out my astrolabe.
And it was really fun. We drank wine and ate roasted vegetables and quinoa and celebrated our harvest for the year and did ceremonies and meditated and just hung out basically. But it was fun to have something to look forward to. It sounds so sad, but like I spent the whole week being like, it's Witch Thanksgiving this week. And I was like, oh, what do I wear to a Witch Thanksgiving?
I mean, come on, a pointy hat, a cloak, and a broom, right?
Well, I asked, I was like, what is the attire?
And a fake wart on your chin?
Because I don't need a fake one, baby. Because I love a theme, but I also don't want to be so I asked, what's the attire? And she wrote back, Mother Earth gratitude. I was like, okay.
Thanks, Abby. Got it. I'm just going to reach into my Mother Earth gratitude closet.
But I nailed it. It, by the way. And yeah, it was fun to like plan an outfit, and I went and got sunflowers to bring and a couple bottles. Like, it felt like I was preparing for Thanksgiving or any holiday.
Which Thanksgiving? It
was just which Thanksgiving?
Canadian or American?
Neither. Oddly enough. But yeah, I told my parents that I was going to Witch Thanksgiving, and my mom was like, "Is she making a turkey?" I was like, "No, she's
cooking a stew. We're gonna do it. We're gonna stir it together. It's a pot of stew in the middle of the table, and it just boils and bubbles and trouble. You know, there's all kinds of things that go on."
And then she was like, "Oh, is Jeff and Smudgy coming?" And I was like, "Oh no, it's like
just the witches."
Yeah.
It's just going to be we girls from the coven.
Yeah, and it was fun. And that's just last night. I was like banking on like, great, Witch Thanksgiving's the day before the podcast. Like, I'll have some like hilarious stories. And I was like, oh no, it's just like fun. And we talked about our hopes and dreams and fears. And there was at one point she's like, I think we need to clear the energy and raise it a little bit because this is supposed to be celebratory. And I was like, we should.
I'm gonna play Who Let the Dogs Out.
Well, no, I was like, well, we do need to dance to September. And she's like, okay, great. And she got her like speaker and her phone, and she's like, so what's the song? And I was like, September by Earth, Wind, and Fire. She's like, okay. Like, I bring the cheese.
Well, I mean, it could have been that song from the Fantastics, speaking of musical theater, you know, which also was popularized by Frank Sinatra, speaking of witches, you know, the list goes on.
And Abby was a musical theater major, so.
So she wasn't sure.
There you go.
So let me ask you this. I have a couple of questions. One is, are there spells that go on? Like, do you cast spells, and are they at all malicious, or is it all just like?
No, there's no spells. It's more about like intention setting. And so like you write down what you want to get rid of, and then you burn that. And then we took the ashes that we burnt and put them in the earth, and we like touched the earth so our hands were dirty. And then we wrote down what we want to harvest in the next year and meditated on that while we looked at a candle, and we made sand art that represented this. I'm doing this very, very condensed. It was more elaborate, but we made sand art with these miniature crystals. Just like
how do you make sand art with crystals?
Fair question. I guess it was miniature crystal art, technically.
Zing, gotcha. I wasn't even trying. I just was not able to picture in my head how that worked.
Well, they were very fine crystal. They were
almost like sand.
Yes, slightly bigger than sand. And so we were moving them around. Like, we were letting. Basically, what she would say is instead use the sand to create art that represents what you want to manifest, but instead of like intellectualizing, like, I'm going to represent this, like, just start moving the sand and look, it's a dollar sign. The one crazy thing was, so we did like the positive, the negative.
So the art is not representative; it's abstract in a way.
Yes, yeah, and it might give you a message that you didn't even realize.
And you're saying sand, but you really mean crystals.
Yes, correct.
And
mine was mostly red jasper, if that helps you.
It does not help me because I don't know what that is. It sounds like a character from a Western movie. Like, I got bad news. Red Jasper's back in town. He has like a big red beard. But what? So is it on like?
We were sitting on the ground and we had like a piece. She had set out, I guess, a circular tablecloth with autumnal leaves that we were sitting on. Mm-hmm. And she realized pretty quickly that pattern made it almost impossible to see the sand art. So she improvised, and we had white pieces of paper that. I love
improv.
That yeah. I know you do. I know. We already went through it. So the white piece of paper ended up being sort of the canvas, but you could also go off of it, obviously.
But so you could see the red jasper against the white paper.
Right.
Boss, I got bad news. Red Jasper's back in town and he's silhouetted against paper.
Well, okay, so this is the craziest part of the art. Again, we used the sand art. It was also kind of fun because the entire point of sand art is that it's temporary. And a lot of times when you create something or you make something, it's like, this is the thing I made. And it's like, the whole point is it's going to change in 1 second.
I mean, welcome to the fucking universe, by the way, right?
And improv.
This is temporary.
Wow.
A few years from now, this is going to be fucking stardust.
Wow. A few years? Sean,
in the grand scheme of things?
Sean, eat some vegetables.
In the grand scheme of things, a few years, you know? A blip of time.
But one of the prompts she gave us while we were playing with the sand art was like represent the shadow side, or like the part of you that's keeping you from what you're trying to manifest. And it was pretty literal. I probably wouldn't get a good grade in an art class, but I got all of my sand condensed together and literally in a box. But what I didn't notice.
What kind of box would you call that?
Sandbox.
Bingo.
Crystal box.
Bingo. Oh shit. You're right. It's a fucking God. I thought it was going to be a sandbox, but it's actually a crystal box.
Which sounds cool. Like that sounds like a band name or something.
Just put the crystals in the crystal box.
But so we also had a candle. Anyway, there was a candle there the whole time, and I didn't do this intentionally. I truly didn't. I didn't realize it until like I was zooming out and looking at it. But I had put all of the crystals in that box in the shadow of the candle.
Whoa.
Think about it.
You said you didn't do that on purpose?
This goes all the way to the top.
I also like how you are so fucking Hollywood. You're like, I didn't even think about it until I zoomed out.
I'm not Hollywood.
Okay, Spielberg.
And but yeah, it was, we also, I didn't mention this at the very beginning of the night. We put together care packages for the unhoused. And so we like blessed those as well. And so I have a few in my car so that if and when I see someone in need, I could just give it to them. Mm-hmm. So that was like part of it.
And what do those consist of? Like what do witches put in their care packages?
A few pairs of socks. Mm-hmm. Some deodorant, some protein bars, a couple bottles of water, some toothbrushes. Nothing too crazy, but yeah.
Just the necessities.
Yeah. I was actually stressed when I was shopping for what to get for those care packages because it felt like, is it insulting to give someone deodorant? Or like, I kept worrying.
Is it though? Is it insulting? I'm asking because I told both my nieces that I would send them care packages at college, and I'm like, what the fuck do I send them? And I feel like if I sent them deodorant, that would be like, guys, get it together.
Yeah. Well, and I was like, shampoo, but like they don't have shower. Like, truly, I don't want to get
dry shampoo
that they don't need, but then I don't want it to be so utilitarian that it doesn't feel like a gift. So I finally had to like let it go a little bit and be like, it might not be exactly what they need or want, but this is what I'm giving them.
Oh, that's good. So there's never a moment when you're at this witch Thanksgiving or whatever where you're like, yeah, or like my neighbor takes up 2 spots and let's turn her into a newt.
No.
Like I feel like witches are always turning people into newts for some. I don't know why newts are the thing, but they're always. That's what they turn people into is a newt. And
right. No, there was no malicious.
I don't even know what a newt. It's like a lizard, right?
It's a lizard. Yeah. I love lizards.
Yeah. Well, of course you do. You're a fucking witch. Makes total sense. So no spells, no
spells. No, it was more just about like envisioning what you want and getting rid of things that are no longer serving you. It's very like personal. It's not about outside like affecting events.
Using your powers for good.
Right. Well, and I think I would argue Abby's the witchiest among us, all 2 of us.
Right.
And she is even like, I don't believe in magic as in like alakazam, I'm going to make this happen. But it's kind of like the power of positive thinking or manifestation, just kind of like on steroids, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like steroids is, dangerous, but can be good if you're going for the right thing.
What I mean is she's not like turning things into other things or like curing things. It's just about like, she wouldn't even say what I just said about manifesting on steroids. She would say it's about like listening. It's about getting like very, very aware. So it's not, it's about listening to what actually is happening.
Right. So here's my next question is, I don't know how to frame this, but like, it's really 2 questions. Like
why?
Okay. It's 1 question. It's 1 word. Why? No. Like, where does this come from? Where is this witchcraft that Abby is practicing coming from? Is it just something that she is manifesting herself? And if not, and if this is like in the Witch's Guide to Witching
for idiots.
Witching. Yeah. If it is, then why does being a witch have such a bad reputation? Like what? Because I feel like if you tell somebody you're a witch, they're like, come on, man, let's go get a steak and see what happens.
Why is that their reaction?
Because they burn witches at the stake.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But you know what I'm saying? Like witches are in popular culture. Yeah. Witches are evil. They're not like, I am manifesting my future. They're like turning their fucking neighbor who takes up 2 parking spaces into a newt.
We get it. Yeah. Lots of newts. I'm just going to conjecture times a million because we don't
deal in facts.
No. But I think there's multiple things going on. I think the definition of witch is evolving, but also this is the true definition of what a witch was originally. But that the power and the magic and the intuition that women could possess scared people, and it's kind of like a bad PR.
So if they had had a better publicist in Salem back in the 1600s, witches would not have the reputation that they have in popular culture.
Yes, like that sounds insane, but I would. Again, I have no research to back this up. I do not know what I'm talking about, but I would bet.
Welcome to the club, my friend. I very much enjoyed Prince of Tides with Robert Redford.
But I would bet even if you went back in a time machine to Salem, a lot of the women that were persecuted for witchcraft were probably doing things very similar to what Abby and I did last night. Like they weren't turning people into newts because you can't do that. But it to ward people off it and to keep the power, like for the church to keep the power, you have to make it as scary and ominous and oogly boogly as possible. Do you see what do you agree or disagree, or do you?
Yeah. So somebody was running into the church going, Goodman Brown, we must go find out what's going on. They're making sand art from crystals and calling it sand art.
Right.
It's illuminated by white paper. What do you suppose the significance of that is? Maybe they can't see the crystal. Just shut up. Shut oogly boogly. I just rewrote the Crucible, basically. Yeah. I don't know. It's just interesting to me that like every time you talk about it, I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. But like, that's so not what you think of when you think of witches.
Right.
Know?
I guess if I didn't say witch, if I just said like we were doing new age shit, would you? I
would tune out instantly. I would be like, oh boy.
But witches, you're like, okay, I'm listening.
I'm like, you have piqued my interest. Yeah. I mean, I guess it is new agey in a way, but it feels more specific than that. Because
I just also have known her over 20 years, and it's just funny because she goes through phases. She always has, always will. And so she was doing tarot readings, and then for a little while, she's like, I'm kind of over tarot readings. I'm really into doing rune readings. And that like really tickled me because I don't even know what that means. Like I grew up in a hippie commune, and when you've like out hippie me, like I am impressed. Right. So I don't even fully know what a rune reading is. And so I was like, what? I remember asking
like
her,
little things that you kind of look, little stones and stuff.
It tells you. And I was like, I know that didn't help me. But so last night I was like, oh, like how are runes going? And she's like, I don't do runes anymore. And I fell on the floor laughing because like the way she was.
I don't do runes anymore. I'm really into the card game Uno.
Yeah, it's like runes and Abby broke up. Like she's like, I don't discuss runes.
So does she have a new thing now, or is it like she's in search of something? It was
like a Celtic, like it was like a tarot card, but Celtic she was starting to get into that, and it's like, well, that again, you would have been dying even more than I was because she was like, it's just like Celtic journeying. And so you take the Celtic journeying card and you do like a Celtic journey. And I was like, you keep saying that like that's a thing that I know what it is.
Oh, yeah. Celtic journey. Sure. You're talking about when all the Irish people left during the potato famine in 1848?
But
yeah. Interesting.
It's fun.
It's always interesting.
Harmless.
Yeah. And it's also always interesting because it's like, we're all looking for something, right? And so she, in a sense, is just making it more concrete in terms of like, well, this is the answer. If I just read the runes right, I'll get it. Whereas for me, it might be like, I'm gonna read a book about writing, or I'm gonna go buy new stationery supplies to sort of move past whatever's blocking me in life right now.
Right. And in her defense, in Witch's defense overall, she would, with runes, with tarot cards, with Celtic journeying, she wouldn't say like, I'm going to these cards for the answer.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just a way to tap into your own subconscious anyway. So it's like what you're already thinking. It's just a way to get there.
Yeah. No. And I think that when I say we're all looking for something, I think it's unconscious. Like it's not like we're all going, I just need to find the answer. I mean, some people are, you know.
I need to find a newt.
Eat, love, pray, or pray, love. What's that thing about Julia Roberts where she prays?
About Julia Roberts, that documentary about Julia Roberts.
Eat, pray, love. That's what it's called. But so she was like, I'm going to go figure it all out. But I think most people are just kind of stumbling along and yet have this desire to figure things the fuck out. And like, this is a tangible way to go, if I look at these runes, this is obviously I would have to have a time machine for this, but like, if I look at these runes, it will help me figure things out. If I spin this bottle, it will tell me which direction I should go henceforth.
Right.
So, but I think what you're saying is true, which is like, it's channeling like, and focusing on like, like, you know, you even said like, what's the shadow that's keeping me from, I don't forget how you said it, but like manifesting my power or achieving my,
I think that's exactly how I said
purpose
it.
Or
I wasn't even paying attention, was it?
Tapping into my stream of wonder, whatever it is. Yeah. But like focusing on that, you know, it's like a different version of meditation or something, you know?
Exactly. Or sort of like therapy or self-reflection.
Therapy. I was thinking of therapy too. Yeah. Like self-reflection, examining what's going on, which I think a lot of people don't necessarily do or don't have time to do, or, you know, I can just sit down and eat chips in front of the TV instead of like going, why am I so miserable all the time? Whatever.
And not to be so Hollywood, but like zooming out and trying to see patterns rather than just being in it.
Right.
Trying to recognize.
I think you're right. Yeah. You see the pattern, you zoom out, you see the pattern, you pan across.
Jump cut into the rune.
You see all the patterns. Yes. And then you do a montage and you're like, oh my God. Yeah.
My favorite, just thinking of editing jokes,
shots, yeah.
Is in a movie when in not very great movies, but they want you to like feel something at the end about them either getting together or one of them dying. And they do a quick montage of literally every scene of the two of them in the movie. And it was like, yes, I saw it the first time. Like, this isn't as successful as you think it is.
I think what would make that even better is if we saw right now, if there was a way.
A montage of me saying that.
No, a montage of you watching those like every time you saw a montage like that, just going, oh.
Just slack-jawed in sweatpants.
Yeah. I saw it the first time. Jesus Christ. Yeah, filmmaking technique, you know, that's what it's all about, really. What else? So you had your witch Thanksgiving.
And it makes you, because you have to think about what you want to harvest in the next year. That is the exercise. And I found it a little bit difficult in the sense that I feel a hesitation to be like too specific because and I think it's something that I need to get over or work through, or but like, I don't want to be like,
try some fucking runes, see what happens.
Right. But I don't want to say like, I definitely want to buy a boat. I'm just saying that for this, like and then I don't buy a boat. And then it's like, oh, great. It's another failure.
Mm-hmm.
But then what I'm doing now is all of my goals are like, be happy. Like they're so amorphous that it's hard to have an actionable like path from there.
Right.
So yeah, I'm in like this weird place where it's not I'm too afraid of being hyper specific. And I think I'm also in a place where I'm like, I have what I need. Like I don't have a laundry list of things I need. If I look around, I have what I need. I'm very lucky. And it feels greedy to be asking for a lot more, but maybe I need to dream bigger. I don't know. This is all stuff that I'm just working through right now.
There's also so many areas to think about. Like,
is it like my personal life? Is it finances? Is it my career? Is it relationships and
recycling?
And like it's something that I keep bumping up against in my journaling in the witchcraft last night, but it's like, I don't know if I still fully know what I want to be when I grow up. And that's kind of a problem.
Welcome to the club, my friend. Welcome to the club.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to figure that out, I think.
Well, I think I have a deep-seated belief. I know that I do. It was instilled in me my whole childhood.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't a lot about where I grew up and the belief systems that are like
sticking with you.
But this is that everyone was born for divine purpose.
Special purpose, you might say?
Yeah, sure. And I truly believe that.
Mm-hmm.
But it also is giving me like an existential crisis of what if I'm not doing it? Like, how do I know? And I mean, we could talk about this all night, but I also am starting to explore the idea that maybe my divine purpose isn't tied to the job that I have. And the capitalist society we live in has made us think that job equals purpose, and that I might have a job that I like fine, that I can survive off. And then my divine purpose is outside of that. It's in the relationships I have with people. It's with Jeff. It's with Smudgy. Like, again, these are all just like theories that are rattling around in my brain. Because it's hard for me to believe that my divine purpose is doing the social media for DreamWorks Animation. But like,
I mean, the Lord works in mysterious ways. But also that's not necessarily the end of the road, you know?
Right. And it might be a stepping stone.
Yeah.
But you understand what I'm talking about.
I do. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to commit to something because, I mean, I'm talking now in terms of harvest. It's hard to go, this is the thing I want, because what if I don't get it? Although I always feel like, and I'm terrible at that. I'm terrible at going, I want to do this. And I do feel like the few times I've done that, it's a thing that's actually happened, you know, like when I have said, this specific thing is my goal right now. It has worked out, but you also run the risk of, like you said, not accomplishing that. Like, what if you plant corn and the corn gets eaten by newts sent by a witch?
Right.
And you're like, fuck, I didn't grow corn. But I feel like when that happens, there's always other things that come out of that thing, you know, like you learn something else or yeah.
I agree with you. I feel like every time that I dream a little bit bigger and I'm more laser focused on it, I make progress, but it's just scary making that choice initially or some, I don't know. I don't know why I don't consistently do that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are like that. Not everybody, but I think a lot of people are like, it kind of goes back to what you were saying before, where it's easy to be in the middle of things and not, dolly back and pan across and then use a steady cam to go, this is what's
Chiron.
Dubbed in German.
No, but yeah, to not see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
You just kind of, I'm trying not to do that is what I'm saying. But it's also painful. I don't know. Waking up or becoming aware, it's a little bit uncomfortable on the way. No?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I have not been comfortable in 35 years, Oh,
God.
Right now.
I cast a spell.
Yeah. I need to turn my neighbor into a newt.
Parking spot.
What else?
I feel like I gave a lot of my heart.
But there's always more. There's always more
to give. My vulnerability about where I am in my life, my existential crisis, my witchiness.
Yeah.
My how my childhood has formed how I dream. I feel like I just did a lot.
You also just did the thing. You just did a montage of everything you already talked about.
I zoomed out.
There's people watching this right now going, we saw it already. I will just say a couple of things. I went today. I've talked about this before. I still am having tremendous difficulty with schedule. Like I'm just up so late because part of it is because I'm teaching a few nights, and it's hard when you teach until 9:00 to go, well, it's like, I don't even need
immediately.
Yeah. I don't even need dinner till a few hours after that. And then, so
then you hit the clubs.
Yes. It's weird. The clubs are weird now because only two people are allowed in at the same time, and you have to wear a mask. So I don't know who the other person is, and we're both vibing and dancing, but I'm not sure.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. But the schedule thing is fucking me up. Like, it really is fucking me up, I think. And so what I've been trying just this week to do, and it's not really working, but I'm like, well, what if I get up and because this is what I would like to do. And I did it for probably a year while I was working at Mr. Pickles. Not a year, because I never worked a year straight, but for like 6 or 8 months while I was working at Mr. Pickles, I was getting up and going to the gym before work every morning. And that always made me feel a sense of accomplishment. It's like, if I go to the gym first thing in the day, the rest of the day is just gravy. Anything I get done the rest of the day, I'm like, great, but I already won because I did this thing before everything else. So I was like, what if I just get up and I go, not to the gym because I don't go to the gym anymore, but I exercise in some way. And as we've talked about, I did really commit back in February to exercising on a regular basis. And I've been pretty good about it, like really good about it, actually. And
that's a significant amount of time. That's like 7-8 months.
Well, I don't know if there's a way to figure that out. I mean, is there some
we could get a witch in here
mechanism, like a slide rule or something? Yeah. How many witch Thanksgivings have there been?
One.
Oh, right. That didn't help. But a couple of things. One is, as you know, I did not feel well a couple of weeks ago. And I feel like that took me down for a while, like probably for like a week and a half. I wasn't doing what I had been doing. and like I did manage probably most of those days to at least go out and walk for like an hour,
That's great.
But it wasn't like I was in the conservatory in my apartment with the kettlebells, or whatever.
The conservatory.
Trying to make it sound like the house in Clue.
No, but I hear you, because I feel like every time I get in sort of a rhythm and a pattern of working out, once I get sick, it's like, no, because it's like the inertia of it all. Like once I stop, it's so much harder to start again.
It's a big stall. And so that happened. And then I was like, okay, let me try to just start up again. And I have a whole thing written out, like a program of like, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, whatever. And I started again, 5 or 6 days ago. And I've also started, in addition to like the weight thing, I've also started running a little bit. And I say running, it's not running, it's like sprinting mostly. I'm mostly just sprinting a mile or two, like nonstop, incredibly fast. But no. But so I was like, let me start this up again. And I just didn't, like, I was starting, but I didn't feel good. And so I kind of like,
you half-assed it a little, or like,
well, not just that, but like, first of all, I was like, okay, yeah, I got sick. And so I didn't do this stuff for like a week and a half. And so I'm a little off my game right now, but that's okay because I was sick, and it's okay. And it happened. And it's not like I need to sit here and go, you fucking asshole, what's wrong with you? And then when I started up again, it's hard to get back and hit it as hard as I was hitting it before. So I did a couple of sessions where I got up, I started, I'm working, it's been a half an hour, and I'm done. Like, I'm not going to keep going despite my misgivings. You know what I mean? Like we've talked before about like being a rule follower, and like, I have to do this, this, and this, and this, and the recipe has to be exactly right. And I wrote this down, so I have to do exactly what I said. And I was just like, you know what? I did some, and that's a victory because I didn't feel like it. And so, and I feel like that's okay. Like I'm trying to be okay with like going, I didn't do everything I set out to do, but I still brought it and came and did it,
The all or nothing.
Right.
Isn't helpful.
But so with the I can do the weight stuff here in the apartment, but with the running thing, it's like I want to go do it at the reservoir because it's so pleasant up there.
Nice. It's like you're in the country a little bit. Like it's
yeah, and it's flat. Like if I do it in my neighborhood, it's so hilly and like,
and the sidewalks are like broken.
Yeah, and like as we know, I fell a few weeks ago when I was walking around on the street, which, by the way, I don't know if I ever said this, but there were huge ditches there in the asphalt. That's what tripped me up in the middle of the night. It wasn't just like I was walking along and fell. But anyway,
no one like, you act like we were all roasting you for it.
I feel like everybody was against me. I feel like everybody was like taking me to task for being a spaz, But anyway, it's hard. It's hard to get up and get motivated and go when you don't have a schedule to keep to. Like if I don't have to teach till 6 o'clock at night, I don't have to get going right away.
Do it later, and then you just never do it.
And then it's after teaching, and I'm like, I don't feel. So anyway, I'm like, okay, I'll get up, I'll go get a coffee at Starbucks, drive to the reservoir, whatever. So this morning, it probably wasn't even morning. It was probably later in the day than that. But I got up, I went to Starbucks, and I ran into this guy who really felt to me like a metaphor for this whole period of time that we have all been away for. Like, I don't know. I just feel like we're living in such a weird time. So this is a guy who hangs out in the parking lot of this strip mall, hoping that people will give him money. And he's been there for years. And so I used to run into him every morning and, you know, I'd give him whatever, a couple bucks here, a couple bucks there. We'd have conversations. I remember one time him telling me that he was so happy because he had been sober for 5 years as of that day. And like, we talked about that for a while. And, but I haven't seen him in 2 years, basically, or a year and a half because of all the stuff that's going on. And so there he was today. He seemed way worse off than he had been a year and a half ago. Like his voice was all fucked up. He was missing way more teeth than he had been before. Like, yeah. And he didn't know who I was. Like he was always so like, I don't know how to explain it, but like we didn't know each other, but we kind of knew each other, you know? Yeah. And he was just like, can I have some money? Can you give me some money? And I was like, let me see what I can do. So anyway, I went in, I got a coffee, I came back out and I gave him a couple bucks and he was like, I remember you. And like, I was so glad that he said that, you know, like it was scaring you or. Yeah. And it was like, it's that thing of like, everything's been wiped out by being gone for a year and a half, you know? And I'm sure this guy has a tremendous amount of shit to deal with because of what his life is, but I just was, it was good. It was good, you know? So yeah, then I went up to the reservoir and sprinted 3 miles.
5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, 5-minute miles. But again, like it's that thing of like, I'm just not going to judge. I'm just going to do it and whatever. Yes. But I really was thinking about it because it doesn't, I know that I am doing this for good reason and it is a healthy thing to do in a lot of ways. It's just healthy for your brain and for your body to be exercising. But I still feel shitty a lot of the time, you know?
Yeah.
But then I was thinking about it and I was like, okay, I remember saying when I started back in February, which I don't know how long ago that was, but it was a while ago. And I was like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to feel better. And it might take a couple of years. And it definitely has not been a couple of years. Right. And so I was like trying to remind myself that I am on a 2-year timeline and it's only been basically a third of that at this point. So it's okay that even though I'm sprinting 5-minute miles, I'm not down to just almost breaking the 4-minute barrier yet, you know, like that's okay. But it's still hard because like yesterday I was like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to exercise and it just didn't happen. And then there it was 1 o'clock in the morning and I was like, I got to do this. And I started exercising for like half an hour. And then it was the same thing. I was like, this is just too late. Like, I don't know. I don't want to,
then you can't fall asleep.
Yeah, I'll be up until 6 o'clock in the morning, you know? But at least I'm trying. And then, here's the other thing I would like to do. You know how I like to do impressions on this show, right? Like I did that impression of the guy who was the tech guy for, you know, the guy who was like that guy. So would it be okay if I did another impression right now?
I beg you to.
Do you know the actor Richard Kind?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's great. I love Richard Kind. He's so funny. He's so funny in everything he does. And a nice guy too. Like I remember meeting him at
you would say he's kind.
He's kind. He's very kind. His name fits. There was some
rich with kindness.
There was some party, I think it was like a UCB rap party or something, and he was there, and he was just he's done monologues for ASCAT before.
I can see him being amazing at that.
He was very rich and very kind. But anyway, I'd like to do my Richard Kind impression, and it goes like this. That's him as the technician in a movie about a kidnapping. No. Here's my Richard Kind impression. It goes like this. So you have diabetes. That's it. That's the whole.
So good.
That's the whole thing. Because he's doing some medication commercial at this point. All right. Why don't we take a break, and then we'll come back and we'll do a segment on the show that we like to call Parting Shots, unless when we take a break, Amber turns me into a newt.
I will turn Smudgy into a newt before you, for sure.
Okay. That sounds good. Hey everybody, it's Sean. Thank you so much for all of your overwhelming support. We really appreciate it, and we want more. So please feel free to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, write to your local paper, send episodes of the show to your friends that you care about or your enemies you want to bother. Suggest it to people, turn to the person next to you on the bus and say, would you like to hear what I'm listening to? Spread the word. We can never get enough of that. Now, back to our show. We're back. You were listening to The Long Shot. The thing I forgot to mention about when I went running today is I got to the reservoir and I realized that I had forgotten to bring my headphones. So I was out there for like almost an hour just with my own heavy breathing, my own footfalls, and my own thoughts. And that's kind of a fucking nightmare.
Not to be a one-upper, but I couldn't find my earbuds when I ran a marathon. I was left alone with my thoughts for literally hours, doing the most intense like that was like I wouldn't recommend.
Yeah. No, that sounds like a nightmare.
Doing some like weird vision quest.
If I had to spend 4 or 5 hours with your thoughts, that would be like a nightmare. But I will say it was funny. There was a guy. So I got to the reservoir and I, walked in through the gate, and I was just walking at first. And there was a guy behind me who came running along. Like all of a sudden I heard, and I was still in the headspace of like, oh fuck, I'm going to have to like listen to my own thoughts for, yeah. And all of a sudden I hear music behind me, and this guy comes trotting along, and he just has his phone on speaker and he's playing his music. It's my least favorite. It's the thing now, though. Like anybody in public who's in a conversation on their phone, they're just on speakerphone. Like it's just, that's what everybody does. They just talk on speakerphone all the time. So he was okay with just like, and I was picturing him, if it had been, 40 years ago, he would have been jogging with like a boombox over his shoulder.
It'd be a good workout.
Yeah. I mean, on one side.
Right.
And cross laterally, he would have incredible abs because his body would have been working, his core would have been working the whole time to get that to work. Okay, well, we're at a point in the show that we call parting shots. So I will go first. I would like to do an impression of Richard. So you have diabetes. No, I don't like. I used to yell at Eddie and Jamie when they would do this, but I am going to say that tomorrow I'm going downtown to do some voiceover recording.
Oh, that's fun.
And I think this is kind of like what you were saying about having something to look forward to. I'm like, great. Like, I'm just so happy to be getting out of the house and like,
I get to be creative.
Yeah. Like I'm just, yeah, exactly. Like I'm excited to be around other people and be in a collaborative, funny process. And they're mostly people that I like. And, you know, it's just like, oh, I forgot what this was like, you know? So I don't have a story about that, which is why I used to yell at
gotcha.
Jamie, because it hasn't happened yet. So what's the point of saying that?
Excited about it.
But I'm looking forward to it.
You probably can't say much, but
I can't. It's, you know, somebody's doing an animated pilot and asked me to do some voices, and
that's fun. You're good at voices.
I like to say,
are you gonna do Richard Kind?
Hey, like I'm in the booth and they're like, listen, let's try it again. And can you not do Richard Kind? And can you stop saying, can you do the you have diabetes? Yeah. You keep saying you have diabetes, and this is not, it's not in the script. Yeah.
Right.
No, but it's funny though, right? Like I'm trying to make it funnier. I'm adding to it.
Do you get it?
Yeah. And the other thing is I called my niece today, another different niece than the two that are in college. I called my niece because it was her birthday today. And she had a thing on called an hoodie. Do you know what this is? An hoodie? It's like halfway between a blanket and a hoodie. It's just like a giant thing, but with a hood and like pockets in it. Anyway.
Kind of like the slanket. Remember?
Yeah. Something in that area. Hood? With a hood, right.
It sounds like something that I would be into big time.
That's how I felt too. I was like, I want that.
I was like,
that is
give me.
I want.
I don't have to wear clothes. I just wear a blanket.
Right. And like, I'm thinking again about going up to Idaho in a few weeks, and like this would be perfect for the weather up there. You know, to wander around in my hoodie. Yeah. So, you know, if anybody's looking for something to gift me for my, do you gift people things or to give me as a gift? I don't know how you say it, but is it gift or gift?
Do you hear this?
Yes.
There's an ambulance and he sings to ambulances. Smudgy. Great song, but you're done. Thank you. I think it's you receive.
Okay, so I would like to receive an hoodie as a gift from someone.
It's a good holiday gift, but you probably need it before the holidays.
Hers was covered in avocados on toast. I don't know if that's appropriate for me. I think I would want something different from that. Like,
what would you want? Like ham and eggs?
That would be nice. Yeah, ham and eggs, or you know, steak and eggs, or bacon and egg, like something with eggs. You know, more protein, like
eggs, like a protein. A meat, and an
just egg. Macros. Like you want to make sure you get the right macros. You know, so some protein, some fat, some good fat, which avocados covers, but not just fat and carbs. You want protein too. That's my parting shot. And now over to Amber for parting shots.
My parting shot is
Alakazam. Imagine if I just turned, like, if we worked that out ahead of time and I just turned
that's
into
pretty easy to do in a video.
Yeah.
Like, not to
pan over and then pan back. And I'm
Where'd a newt. No, friend of the show, friend of me, friend of you, Jane freaking Becker won an Emmy last weekend.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. I'm so like beside myself, proud of her and excited for her. And it's also surreal. And
it was, what was it again? It was Best Supporting Actress, or what was the
it was Best Boy. for Ted Lasso, and yeah, I'm just so proud. It's like so surreal. It's so crazy to see your good friend win an Emmy, and not to make it about me, but
that's what we're here for.
I experienced the world through my own eyes.
Yeah.
I truly, really, truly, this wasn't my first thought. But in the last couple days, I was like, I used to write sketch shows with her. She was my writing partner.
Hot Dog Volcano.
And now she's won an Emmy for writing. Like, that's so crazy and surreal. And I don't know. It's awesome.
Yeah. Congratulations, Jane. Because I know you listen to the show.
So I don't know. It's not I don't have a rich story to go along with it. I don't have a Richard Kind story to go along with it, but it felt...
So you won an Emmy.
It felt notable enough to bring up. Like, good Lord, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. It's a cool thing. It's validation from the people in charge. So... And I get what you're saying. Like, you're like, well, I used to work with that person. So it's interesting, you know?
It like means something and it means nothing to me personally. Like it's...
Well, but I think right. It's not like at your job, they're going to be like, oh, Amber, we're bumping your pay because you used to write right. sketches for Hot Dog Volcano with somebody who won an Emmy. Right. But it's meaningful to you because this is somebody with whom you had a creative relationship at one time, and with whom you also have a personal relationship. But the fact that there was a creative relationship that is the creativity for which she has won this award, there's just a connection there, you know?
Yeah, it's of note.
It's of note, yes. What note?
I don't know.
Which note? Which note?
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Anything else you wanted to plug or mention or get into?
No, I have nothing to plug. This is the one thing I do. I guess watch DreamWorks animation TV shows and follow us on all the social channels because I will say
DreamWorks needs us to plug them. They definitely are getting something out of it.
Well, and it's understandable. And my boss actually like sort of talked me off the ledge, but we get reports on how we're doing. And basically like the moment I got the job, everything went down across the board. And I was like,
Bobby, get the social media director in here. Something is tanking.
So, that didn't feel great for my ego, but it was also like we were posting less because we were doing bare minimum and I was learning it. Like, it's all fine, but it's like in my
you didn't even have the Facebook manager access.
No, I didn't for all of August. I didn't get it.
Whose fault is that? Not yours.
Not mine. I'm not trying to blame names.
Don't blame names. Okay. Your name doesn't make your destiny.
But although you know, like in your fantasy, you get into the job and you make it.
So
better
I understand
somehow.
you're the new social media director. Well, congratulations, because we're up 7 points on the stock market. Thanks to
and it's like it doesn't normally do this, but the ticker says like all due to social media.
It looks like somebody's getting a big Christmas bonus. Not you, but somebody will.
But it's gonna be fine. But it is fun. It is tough to read a report that was like all of the metrics fell, like everything that you could imagine.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. Get Kenny in here. I want to have a conference with her. We're going to give her a performance review. She just started 2 days ago. Exactly.
I don't even know
it's time to nip it in the bud.
Right. It is funny because I still have conversations with my boss sometimes that are like, hey, why was this not posted here? And I'm like, didn't know that was a place. That wasn't being like, didn't know it existed. So now I know.
I didn't know DreamWorks had a presence on Rumble and Parler.
Truly. It's funny because it's everyone's like, feel free to ask questions. Like, don't be afraid to ask questions. And maybe I do a little bit have a pride issue. Like, I want to figure it out myself. Mm-hmm. But truly, most of, if not all of the problems that I've encountered, it's not like because I didn't ask the question. It's like I would have no idea to even ask that.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You got to know what the question to ask is.
It's like, okay, I didn't know that existed. Like,
can you tell me other social media platforms I don't know about that we're supposed to be posting on?
Right.
That I have no reason to ask you about. Do you have any other questions? Yeah. What other questions should I have is my question. And then you just disappear because yeah, exactly.
I should have had a spell about the social media metrics going up. It's be careful what you wish for. It's like a fine line because some of the posts I'm like, oh, we're getting a lot of interaction, and everyone's like, I hate it. I'm like, oh, okay, well, right. It's the internet, but
it's social media. Like, that is a funny thing about social media is like, it is mostly about hating things. Mm-hmm. That's the vast majority of what opinions you're going to get. Nobody's going to go, hey, good job, DreamWorks. You guys are great. They're going to go, fuck you.
Well, sorry, we were wrapping it up, but in one of the reports, it's sentiment. So it's like positive, neutral, or negative. And always the biggest percentage is neutral. And my boss is like, that's misleading. Because nobody goes on the internet and posts like, this show exists. And I feel neither good nor bad about it. Like, neutral usually is positive. Like, you're not posting about like, hey, this show is new because you hate it. I don't know. It's just interesting.
I think I texted you about this. I can't remember, but when I rewatched season 2 of Succession, that scene where Connor gives the eulogy at the funeral.
It's the best. The whole season is so
just
good.
It's great. But like, that moment is so funny because that's exactly what he does. He just does it completely neutral. He's like,
some people die.
He was a man. People die, and now he is dead.
And
before he was alive. Yeah.
It's so good.
All right, folks, this has been The Long Shot. It is a podcast. It's mostly about witchcraft and Richard Kind.
And social media metrics.
The neutrality of social media metrics. And Jane Becker winning an Emmy. Please follow us on Twitter. You know what? Go right now and leave us a 5. Leave us. This is a thing that I've noticed recently in podcasts is there's a lot of podcasts where they just go, hey, go leave us a 5-star review on, and I feel like we should just do that because it's always been like, hey, if you feel like going to review us, please do.
We're too wishy-washy. Go right now. Leave a 5-star review.
We didn't talk at all about the Murdoch murders, which is fine. But that's a thing that the Good podcast about that show, she says that at the end of every one. And it's really funny because she's like, so please go right now and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. And don't say anything if you're going to talk about my vocal fry, because like every episode she says that. Until the last episode, she said, I just listened to I don't know if it's the most recent episode, but it was like the last episode I listened to. And she goes, as it turns out, doing a weekly podcast about murders is very stressful on your mental health. So we do need to take a break. And I don't think when we come back, we're going to be doing this every week.
Fair.
All right, folks, this has been The Long Shot. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
I used to dance like a fighter. So now I mix my memories with a rusty old spoon, and I taste them when I am all done. For the grease stains and back pains and card games and migraines and my fame just melting in the sun. But if there's anybody here who remembers me, if there's anybody here who remembers me, then tell me right now. I'm just searching for a taste that's as bitter as my own, and I don't know when I'm gonna find it.